Howdy, folks. Left the house for some time outside today, and there's a lot of standing water here and there from the melt and the runoff. And it reminded me of a passage in the book Coop, and it begins with my buddy Ricky, and he lived right beside Beaver Creek. Not 40 yards from Ricky's mailbox, a pair of corrugated culverts punched north-south through the east-west berm of Beaver Creek Road, carrying Beaver Creek itself beneath it. 2 steel tubes in a middling stream might not sound like much, but as far as I was concerned, Ricky was the luckiest boy in the world. My father's farm was all swamp and flat land. This left me easily bewitched by moving water. Water that flowed, that didn't just seep or sit still and fester up mosquitoes, gave me Huck Finn fevers. Those first warm days coming out of winter, my siblings kept our ears cocked for the sound of trickling water. Then we'd track the trickle down and do what we could to speed the flow, kicking snow into the channel where it melted even as it floated, or widening the channel by stomping the overhanging edges of ice which snapped beneath our boots with a satisfying crunch. When a true thaw came, rivulets broke loose everywhere, and we spent hours gouging channels from one puddle to the next, delighting in how the dirt crumbled into the clear water, spinning mud clouds downstream to form cream and coffee eddies. When the sediment swept clear and again the water ran transparent, miniature rapids sparkled in the sun. If we churned the puddles to mud with our boots beforehand, the drawdown left mocha foam striations along the shoreline. It seems the urge to control the flow of water is innate. Rare is the child not born pre-qualified for the Army Corps of Engineers. Workable parallels are found in the urge to shovel square corners into freshly fallen snow. A man on the local radio show classifies the snow handling fetish as a form of space management. This is apt, but I propose freelance hydrology as a subcategory. The water often melted faster than it could dissipate. The low spot in the middle of last year's cornfield became a pond, complete with paddling ducks. A dip in the road became a flat stretch of water hazard, a mirage that wasn't a mirage. Over where the Keezy Swamp drained, the culverts submerged, leaving no trace but a whirlpool that spun narrower and narrower until the gabbling swirl sucked shut and left the swamp water to rise in silence above the hummocks and muskrat houses to the very shoulder of 5 Mile Road, and sometimes across it, so bullfrogs might laze unmolested above the center line. Children love the idea of transformation and alternate worlds, and the delayed spring runoff transformed our landscape as completely as any fairy tale Merlin. Once I sat very still against a white pine and watched as an early returning mallard couple paddled within 6 feet of me on what in dry times was a deer trail. I was transfixed by the drake's iridescent head, so close I could see the wet shine of his eyeball. One sodden spring when I was older, the road flooded by Oscar Knipfer's place and we took the canoe over. We paddled back and forth from one blacktop shore to the other, giddy with the anomaly of it. Every summer we canoed the Red Cedar River, but for some reason it was twice as exciting to paddle above the roadway, as if we had been gifted with a magical boat. One surreal spring day, my brother John spotted a northern pike in the cow pasture. It was just a snaky little hammer handle. If we had caught it while actually fishing, we would have tossed it back without a thought. But here on the back 40, in a drainage ditch 10 navigable miles from the nearest habitable lake, it was an event on par with the birth of a white buffalo. We hatched fantasies of summer afternoons spent casting daredevils from the hay wagon. John fetched his fishing rod and managed to land the fish. Tiny as it was, he released it immediately. Then the ditch water receded, and with it the dream of battling lunkers in the clover. But Ricky didn't have to wait for magic water. When the ice let loose over his way, he had himself a real, honest-to-goodness crick, and it lasted all summer long. How I envied him this exotic proximity. During the spring of our friendship, I was always eager to pedal over his way when Mom gave the okay. We'd meet at the culverts, choose one, clamber to opposite ends, then hang head down and whoop back and forth. Our voices echoed flatly before dampening against the corrugations. We tossed pebbles at each other. They fell short and went bloop, or ricocheted off the ribbed steel with a compressed ping. Sometimes we played poo sticks, simultaneously dropping 2 different sized branches in the upstream end of the culvert before running across the road to the downstream end, hoping the stick we picked came through first. Yeah, man, that's it. When you're young, you just need a little flowing water. I hope you're hanging in there, folks. Take care of each other and flow forward.